Like any form of systematic oppression, fat phobia is deeply rooted in complex structures like capitalism, patriarchy, and racism.
America's obesity problem is getting worse. Nearly 4 out of 10 adults were considered obese in 2016. That's a 30% increase over the last 18 years. And it has also taken a toll on young people.
You shut up, man. Who is on your list, Joe?
The boss is Donald Trump.
That's right. They're all crooked. We should get rid of all.
When I started this channel, I wanted to give my audience, 13 subscribers so far, thank you so much for that, an unbiased perspective on issues we are facing today and open up discussion on touchy topics. The way I think to manage to do this is to keep my own opinion mostly to myself and let people discuss them, making them have the dialogue, after which we could come up with a conclusion collectively. This video is going to be hard in that regard. I have a very strong opinion about the fat acceptance movement, and although I genuinely think it is a moral sin to bully someone because of their size or weight, we should never ever tell someone that being overweight or even obese is either healthy or that it won't have any consequences in the long run. The science is there, and to lie to people and say that they are perfectly healthy while being severely overweight is just wrong. What I'm going to do is to put myself on a spectrum going between very much against to all for fat acceptance, and take you, the viewer, on a journey through my train of thought. Starting with giving you my opinion, after which I will go into the history of the fat acceptance movement and its effects on society, and lastly, I will come up with a conclusion. Before I lay down my opinion, please like and share this video, subscribe, click the notification bell, and leave a comment saying what your opinion is about the fat acceptance movement. As I said, I am very much biased against the fat acceptance movement, and we should be careful here with our words. In my opinion, there's a difference between fat acceptance and body positivity. I am all for body positivity. I love to see everyone being happy in their body despite the judgment of society. Body positivity, in my opinion, takes courage. Let's say, God forbid, you lost a leg, and despite having only one leg, you don't care about people's judgments, but you feel good in your body and accept your condition. That's great. And never ever will I say you should feel bad about being fat. What I have a problem with, however, is saying that being overweight or even obese is healthy. So, saying that being fat is healthy and that you can be healthy at every size is just dishonest. Now, in contrary to body positivity, fat acceptance, on the other hand, again, in my opinion, is different. It is different in the sense that it normalizes and sometimes even praises being fat and obese, and I have a problem with that. To me, it kind of feels like people want to drag each other down to their level instead of encouraging people to live a healthier life. I also suspect people advocating for being fat are in a way trying to avoid taking up responsibility for their own health, and even go as far as saying others are fat phobic for not agreeing with them, which is stupid and dishonest. Again, the science is there. Being overweight is not healthy. Just like being underweight isn't, but I haven't seen the same energy towards people that are underweight. I have always had problems with gaining weight, and I used to be a notorious undereater. I remember in high school some even suspected me to suffer from anorexia. But there isn't a movement for that because that's the norm. It's what society likes, right? I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Weighing only 62 kilograms back in your early 20s while being 180 centimeters isn't healthy either. I know it is a logical fallacy to say, what about this? But it has always bothered me, to be honest. Also, I don't really understand why we have decided that it is okay for women to be unhealthily overweight, but not for men. I mean, when I analyze the fat acceptance movement, I only see positivity propagated towards women being fat. A man being fat is still a dirtbag or something, which is just hypocritical. So, that was my opinion. Now we'll dive into the fat acceptance movement. Let's see if I am able to get more nuanced and unbiased. It is true that fat people face stigmatization and bullying more often than others. And if you bully people for being fat, you are a piece of crap. History is always my go-to in order to understand what I'm trying to convey. So here goes. The fat acceptance movement was born in the 1960s when social upheaval and civil disobedience was the norm. In New York, several so-called fat-ins were organized by fat activists. These would involve the activists burning diet books and carrying signs of Twiggy, a model famous for her thin figure. In 1967, a man called Lou Lauterbach wrote an article in the Saturday Evening Post called "More People Should Be Fat" as a reaction to his wife being bullied for being fat. This led to him meeting William Fabry, and they formed NAAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, initially starting as a radical feminist chapter of the NAAFA. The Fat Underground was found. They took issue with the anti-obesity stance science started to take and coined the saying, "A diet is a cure that doesn't work for a disease that doesn't exist." Moving on to the second wave of fat acceptance during the 1980s, the fat acceptance movement became more widespread going outside of US borders. Then there was the third wave, focusing more on inclusivity and also involved issues regarding things like race, sex, and gender. Now, why do people, more specifically women, subscribe to the fat acceptance movement? An article from 2015 gives us some answers. The blogging space that is being described in this article is called the Fatosphere. It is described as a community of support that encourages a fat positive point of view, where positivity means acceptance and empowering themselves and other fat women to resist the social pressure to be thin. The article describes how many women are suffering under something called the thin mystique, which, similar to the condition activist Betty Friedan called the feminine mystique, propagates the notion that the unhappiness women felt was the result of personal inadequacy and maladjustment, and that it could all be fixed through greater consumption of material goods and a cheerful willingness to accept their limited female roles. Similarly, fat women are bombarded with the so-called thin mystique, which propagates the notion that everything in a woman's life will be better if they achieve a slender body, and that similar to the feminine mystique, the endpoint is attainable by purchasing consumer goods and services like expensive diet pills, powders and yoga classes, or surgical procedures like liposuction. The topics of the fat blogs are things like challenges when shopping, pursuing romantic relationships, and mental health. And in a way, it is also a space of self-expression. The bloggers share their experiences with the happiness and unhappiness they feel day by day. They are trying to redefine happiness, saying that the happiness of the thin ideal is actually the source of so much discontent women feel. One blogger puts it as follows: I think one of the most difficult barriers I have encountered on my journey towards self-acceptance is the constant barrage of input telling me that people in larger bodies can't really be happy. In stark contrast to the fat and jolly stereotype is the notion that all fat people are unhappy deep down. And this information is everywhere, from our television and magazine advertising, to barroom pop psychology, to well-meaning friends and relatives. It seems like a lot of people are pretty sure I would be a lot happier if I would just lose weight. But I am pretty happy, I tell folks. They reply, not really. If you were really happy, you wouldn't be fat. Now, to equate being fat with being happy would be an incomplete notion. Reading this article, which in my estimation was heavily biased towards the fat acceptance movement, I got the picture of a world in which one cannot be happy or is even allowed to be happy when they are fat. And perhaps, in a way, that is true. I genuinely do not know. Making this video, I realized that my problem isn't with people being happy while being fat or being fat in general. It actually never was. My problem lies with people propagating and even glorifying an unhealthy and detrimental lifestyle and being proud of it. I am not sure whether this would be a false equation, but it is like a guy smoking a packet of cigarettes a day, saying he is proud of being a smoker and goes around saying other people should start smoking too. So to summarize, the fat acceptance movement is a way for people, again mostly women, to express their discontent with the societal pressure to be thin. Whether that pressure is merely perceived to exist or is an actual reality, I cannot tell. What I do know is that society dictates what is good and bad sometimes, even at the detriment of an individual. In this case, the mental health of fat women. Obesity is a problem. It is a rising problem as well. Over the years, the percentage of obesity has risen, and in Europe, it is now estimated 52.7% is obese, and in the US, over 70% is overweight. As being overweight becomes normal, humans adapt to the environment and start normalizing obesity. It is way too common today that there is a lack of communication between a doctor and an obese patient. The doctor saying to their patient that they should make some lifestyle changes remains very uncommon. This is going to be a very chronically online take, but I've seen TikToks, follow me there too, where overweight patients on the card saying they don't want to get weighed because BMI and weight has nothing to do with health, which isn't true. A healthy BMI doesn't equate health necessarily, but it is a part of it, just like weight is. Now, a feminist critique of the fat acceptance movement is that fat acceptance doesn't actually empower women. And one article that caught my eye in that regard touches on what I said earlier, that women being overweight is okay, but a fat man is still gross. The article says that fat acceptance is an overcorrection to the ugly history of making women feeling ashamed of not fitting into the thin ideal. while men are encouraged to work out and watch their nutrition, of which I know can lead to issues like body dysmorphia in men. Women are told they should accept who they are, which, according to the article, is treating women like they are too fragile to put up with criticisms or set high expectations of themselves, even if that is detrimental to the woman's health. In conclusion, I can say that yes, I got more nuanced, but no, I am still not convinced that the talking points of the fat acceptance movement are contributing to a healthier society. So I am still very much biased against the fat acceptance movement. I think it is great that people who have the same issue, namely being fat, can discuss and open up about their challenges in a safe environment. The reason I am not convinced that the fat acceptance movement is contributing to a healthier society is that A, it forgets about the men, and B, it doesn't really empower the women they focus on, in my estimation, although one might beg to differ, and please do if you feel like that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this very opinionated video. Please subscribe, like and share, and click the notification bell. Also leave a comment about what you think of the fat acceptance movement, and let me know what you think of these kind of more opinionated videos. Anyway, talk to y'all later.